Welcome back to our SILOGAN, where we talk about anything hot
and savory
because it's our pod.
and not to haters.
Welcome back, everyone.
I hope everyone is doing well today.
Are you all ready for this episode? Do you know what we will be talking about, Joan?
I heard we'll be having a guest today, Jal.
That is right. We do have a guest with us. And for our listeners, I hope you're hungry.
Because in today's menu, we have something a little bit different. Instead of our usual chicas, we'll be having the full-blown paper in front of us.
Get your pillows and blankets ready because for today, we'll be listening to our guest's new story.
Help us welcome Jade.
Hello, everyone.
Ooh.
Welcome back to the pod, Jade. But before anything else, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hello again, everyone. My name is Jade Cortal. You probably know me as Jade. I am a horror, thriller story writer.
Thank you so much, Jade. So, as you all know by now, Jade has published a new flash fiction horror story.
That's right, people. Your favorite writer has published 3 taps in the market, and he agreed to talk about it in our pod.
Tell us a little something about this story of yours, Jade.
I can't say much or I'd spoil it, but the concept goes, there are 3 friends that snuck into a closed campus stairwell to record a late-night podcast. While exploring, they encounter an unknown entity.
So this unknown entity, will it show itself?
That's for you to find out.
Thank you for that, Jade. And yes, that's right, everyone. We will be listening to 3 taps in today's episode.
It will be narrated by infamous singer-songwriter Julia Lindsay.
As well for our characters, Jonah, Mira, and Lena. They will be voiced by Alfredo Tamargo, Kirsten Acero, and Lian Ramos.
With that, we'll take a short break before we start. Stay close now.
3 Taps by Jade Cortal. The campus was silent. Not the usual silence of empty halls, but a heavy, suffocating quiet, broken only by the occasional hum of the distant streetlights outside. The corridor they stood in stretched long and empty, lined with closed classroom doors and dim emergency lights. Lena held her flashlight close to the floor as they approached the stairwell at the end of the hallway. The emergency lights flickered overhead, weak and tired, barely illuminating the metal door with its sign, "Stairs no access after 10 p.m."
I really don't like this.
Mira whispered. Her voice bounced slightly off the concrete walls, unnaturally loud in the empty corridor.
Why are we even doing this at midnight?
Jonah shrugged, adjusting the recorder in his bag.
For content, a late night podcast, 10 minutes in a restricted stairwell, 3 people, and a story no one else would dare to try. Simple.
Simple?
Lena mumbled.
Kinda creepy.
Jonah grinned. The metal door groaned as Jonah pushed it open. The hinges squeaked like old bones in protest. Inside, the stairwell twisted downward in a tight spiral. They stepped onto the first landing, just inside the door, with a spiral descending below them and another rising above into darkness. The air smelled damp like wet concrete and colder than the hallway behind them.
Wow.
Lena breathed, stepping inside.
This is perfect.
Mira leaned on the railing, hugging her arms. Jonah placed the recorder on the first step below the landing, near the doorway, and pressed the button.
We're rolling. It's late. And we're in the stairwell. 3 friends where they shouldn't be. Let's start.
The stairwell seemed to swallow their voices. They laughed nervously, the sound echoing down the spiral and back up again, distorted. Then came a faint noise, barely audible at first. Something scraping against the concrete from somewhere below the first flight. Lena froze.
Did you hear that?
Mira frowned, looking down past the railing.
Probably just a loose pipe.
Jonah stepped towards the stairs and leaned slightly over to look into the hollow center.
Hello? Is someone else here?
Jonah's voice sounded braver than he felt. Silence. Then another scrape. Closer. Deliberate. A weight pressing on the step just below their level. Through the stairwell was empty. Mira's throat went dry.
That didn't sound like a pipe.
She whispered. Jonah hesitated.
Alright. Maybe it's an animal. Something small.
He said, though his grip tightened on the railing. A beat of silence then came. Tap, tap, tap. 3 loud taps came from the stairs, right below the landing. They all flinched.
Okay.
Lena whispered.
Something's wrong.
Mira nodded, her eyes wide with fear.
That's not a person. It's something else entirely.
Jonah laughed, shakingly.
Must have been the wind. Yeah, totally the wind.
The emergency lights flickered, leaving them into deeper shadows. When the lights came back, the stairwell seemed darker than before. The edges of the spiral thickened in black. Then the tapping started again, matching their own breathing, as if something down there was playing along. Lena leaned toward the recorder and whispered.
The friends tried to ignore the first noise. That's normal. But the second one, that was different.
The metal railing above them rattled, even though the building was empty. Something moved in the dark, touching the railing as if checking its strength. No one was there, just a shadow shifting. Mira stepped back and swallowed hard. She said,
I don't like this.
Jonah's face had gone pale.
Yeah, maybe we should leave.
Suddenly, the recorder caught a soft, steady breath right next to them. It wasn't human. It was clear. They felt the sound vibrate through the very walls and into their bones. Lena's flashlight flickered again. She focused it downward, scanning the stairs. Nothing moved, yet the air felt wrong. It was heavier, pressing in from below. Jonah whispered.
It's down there, and it's waiting.
They moved forward slowly, stepping a few steps down from the landing. The metal railing freezing to the touch. Taps echoed from 2 floors down. Then 3, then 4. The building was empty, but each sound lasted too long, ringing out through the stairwell shaft. Mira pressed herself against the wall.
It's hurting us.
Hurting us? What do you mean?
Lena asked. Jonah's hand shook as he held the recorder.
It knows we're in here.
He said. The air in the stairwell suddenly changed. Something heavy pressed down on the floor right by their feet, on the step below the landing. The metal railing began to vibrate under Lena's hand. She jumped back in shock and dropped her flashlight, watching the beam bounce and roll down the spiral stairs. For a split second, the beam illuminated a silhouette against the concrete. It was a distorted shape that pulled upward, stretching down the rafters. Then, just as quickly, vanished into the dark. Mira's voice was thin.
It's climbing. It's moving all over the place.
Jonah's voice trembled.
It isn't human. I can feel it.
He said.
I can really feel it.
They froze just below the doorway level. The only thing they could hear were their own breaths and the quiet hum of the recorder. Then the tapping started again, slowly and steady. This time it was coming from behind them, up the stairs, toward the door. Lena spun around toward the door, their only way out. Jonah grabbed the handle and pulled, but it wouldn't move. The metal felt ice cold, as if it had been welded shut against the wall.
It's blocking the door.
He said, his voice rising in panic. Mira's eyes darted around the stairwell.
It's everywhere.
The tapping grew uneven and strange, like a predator teasing its prey. On the walls, The shadows began to flicker and grow, stretching out in long, weird shapes. But the stairwell remained empty. No hands, no faces, nothing. Lena whispered.
What could it be?
Joanna backed into a corner, holding the recorder like a shield.
It's watching us. It's listening. It's waiting.
Then a soft sound, like cloth dragging, moved along the steps above them. They didn't dare look. The railing bent slightly under an invisible weight. Their breaths caught in their throats.
Just don't move.
Lena said, her voice cracked.
Whatever this thing is, it's not human.
The tapping started up again, matching her words. It was a soft, steady pattern, almost like it was answering her. The emergency lights flickered. Suddenly, the shadows weren't just on the walls anymore. They were everywhere. The railings, the steps, and even the air right in front of them. The darkness felt like it was wrapping around them. Mira whispered.
It's right here.
Joanna shook his head.
But we didn't see anything. We didn't see it move.
3 more taps echoed from the stairs below. Tap, tap, tap. Then the sound moved to the door. They stared at the bottom of the door. The silver of light was gone, replaced by a deep, solid black. Something was standing right there, separated from them by only a thin piece of metal. Lena swallowed hard, her throat tight.
We're trapped.
The recorder picked up another breath, closer, behind them, beside them. The lights flickered one last time. Shadows twisted, stretched, and disappeared into impossible angles. The taps continued, now echoing in impossible directions. Inside the stairwell, inside the walls, inside their minds. Silence followed. Then 3 taps. From somewhere. Everywhere. From the other side of the door, 3 voices asked, "Did you hear that?"
I could feel the atmosphere of the story with it just being told.
And that, everyone, was 3 taps.
For our next meal, we will discuss the story and break down each element to dive deeper into 3 taps.
Right after this short break. Jade, would you discuss to us how you've come up with your characters for the story?
I wanted the characters to feel real and relatable, so I based them on how different people respond to fear. Lena represents curiosity. She's drawn to the unknown even when it's dangerous. Mira is more intuitive and emotional. She senses that something is wrong early on. Jonah, on the other hand, tries to rationalize everything, even when things no longer make sense. These characters show how people react differently when faced with something unexplainable.
Tell us more about the setting of your story.
I chose a closed campus stairwell because it's a familiar place, but also very isolating when empty. Stairwells are in between spaces. They're not meant for staying, only for passing through. That idea reflects the story itself, where the characters are stuck in a place they were never supposed to remain in. The spiral structure also adds to the tension, making it feel endless and disorienting, like there's no clear escape.
And it made me wonder, what made you decide the plot?
I actually wanted to explore the fear of the unknown, especially on how people react when they're faced with something they can't explain. Instead of revealing the entity, I emphasized the sounds and sensations to make it more unsettling. Sometimes uncertainty itself becomes the source of fear. What's often unseen feels more terrifying than anything visible. I also chose an ambiguous ending to suggest that the horror really never stops, and that the characters may have now become part of it. It reflects how fear can stay within us, repeating, with no clear beginning or end.
Not only I was intrigued by the plot, more so to the conflict. Do expand in this element, Jade.
The conflict of the story comes from the characters losing control of their situation. At first, they think they're just exploring a space, but as things escalate, they realize that they can't leave and don't understand what's happening around them. It becomes a struggle of staying calm and giving in to panic. The more they try to rationalize it, the more the situation overwhelms them, turning their experience into pure confusion and fear.
Last but not the least, why did you choose your chosen POV for this story?
I chose a third-person point of view to allow the story to move between characters without being limited to a single perspective. This approach lets listeners observe how each character reacts differently to the same situation while maintaining consistent tension. At the same time, it helps preserve mystery, since the listeners only experience what the characters can perceive.
And that, everyone, wraps up our final meal. Thank you so much, Jade, for answering all those questions we have prepared for you.
And we can thank you enough for agreeing to be here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to share my work with all of you.
Did everyone enjoy this special episode?
Or are you hungry for more? Stay tuned in our next episodes as always. We'll make sure you are well fed and satisfied.
Balik-balikan niyo ang silugan namin!